So thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm glad to see some folks here. And welcome to this workshop presentation. We'll be talking a little bit about small business support services and the entrepreneur's mindset today. Because we have a little bit of a smaller group, I'll be happy as we go along. If anyone wants to chime in and chat a little bit, that would be great. Could we go to the next slide, please? Before we really begin, I just want to take a quick poll to kind of see, and you're free to sort of jump into the chat if you'd like, how people sort of view the dichotomy of making a business work. Is it a lot of luck? Is it a lot of hard work? Sort of, is it 50-50? Feel free to type into the chat what you personally think your feeling is around that topic. How much is it luck? How much is it hard work? I'm seeing 50-50. I think that's really an interesting point too. I think a lot of people sort of see that, it takes a lot of hard work, but also sometimes it sort of happens to be how things lay and the way that things sort of go your way, whether or not they do, for different kinds of opportunities you might be pursuing, or ultimately different options that you can be trying to leverage for your business. So that's great. I think I'd like to just begin really by saying, that we as a department, entrepreneurship and small business center, are really interested in the ways that we can help small businesses and aspiring entrepreneurs find those avenues and the ways that they can rely on their hard work, but ultimately take advantage of the resources that are open to them across Wake County. So we are here to meet you where you are, but ultimately we want to help your business grow. A little bit about some of the trends we've been seeing, right? 81.7% of startups are still active after their first year. And North Carolina is on trend with that, sort of national trend. But we as an office are here to be part of helping ensure that. We want to help businesses and local folks who are dipping their toes in sort of the entrepreneurship journey to be part of that number and to help grow that number. The average number of jobs created by startups in their first year traditionally is sitting around that 4 to 5 job creation mark. And that was a national number from 2021. As reported by the Kauffman Foundation, who does a lot of research around entrepreneurship across the country. And those are some of the things that we like to keep an eye on and help different businesses sort of develop their ideas around, whether they see themselves as a sole entrepreneur, that one job, or if they are trying to build their business and grow to recruit more employees to be able to provide the wonderful services that they're offering. If we could go to our next slide, please. So I'd like to just go over some of the services that we provide. One of the things that we do is offer different kinds of seminars, different kinds of conferences or webinars that really can be a great source of information for individual businesses. We really want to help those folks start a business, but also build upon the businesses of those folks who are already in service. So one great thing about our office is if you are just sort of dipping into the waters of entrepreneurship, we're a great resource for how to start that journey, right? Sometimes it can be difficult to figure out where to actually begin, right? Maybe you have hobby that you're trying to sort of find a way to make it more sustainable for you to provide some extra income. Maybe you're trying to take some of the skills that you've learned or upskilled even here at Wake Tech and, freelance or dip into some other opportunities. So no matter what that circumstance is for you, we really want to um, help you on that journey and make sure that we can provide some of that education, not only around how to start those first steps of registering your business and getting things underway, but ultimately, once you're established, what are the ways that you can continue growing? Um, these seminars are also a good way to refresh some of those skills that you have, learn about different topics that can help you ultimately continue growing in that direction. Thank you. So some of the topics that we've had in the past, um, how to start a business, like I just mentioned. Also, what are the steps involved in that process, right? Starting a business sort of is one sentence, right? It seems like a simple phrase, but there are a lot of different things that it can entail. So how to register your business, how to ultimately, if you're needing to be licensed or going after permits, or if you're pursuing a storefront, what are the individual opportunities that exist within that you're going to need a little bit of support around. Um, we also are planning different kinds of opportunities so that you can learn a little bit more about financial planning, about accounting, about bookkeeping, if you're trying to do that for yourself and your small business. Um, and the list sort of goes on and on. So feel free to chime into the chat. If you are a small business owner, what are the kinds of things that you would want to learn more about? We're always hoping to gain more in terms of being able to offer additional opportunities for folks to continue building education around. And also, we want to really know what are the things that individuals, need to know more about so that we can make sure that you're pointing to those resources, whether that's within our office or if we can help point you towards individual folks or partners that we have across the county, to really make sure that you're having a hand in being supported and growing forward together. So before I get into this slide here, if there's anyone who, has a couple of things that stand out as key topics, feel free to put them into the chat. And we'll do our best to add them to the list of things to continue building around. Sure. Branding is definitely a big one. I think in terms of also the ways that technology is growing a lot, right? We see the needs of individual entrepreneurs changing and shifting. When I think about sort of how um, the landscape changes, right? What does that mean for how individual businesses can stand out online? And ultimately, what are the different kinds of things that small businesses are going to need? Um, if you have a small business right now, maybe you will sort of doing that side hustle, that small gig that's beginning to grow, right? Um, in that case, your client base is shifting, right? You're hoping to expand into new markets. So what are the ways that ultimately um, having good strategies for that online presence is going to help you continue to grow that customer market? But also, what does it mean in terms of the ways that you can continue um, standing out with competitors, right? Or ultimately the kinds of things that go in behind the scenes of a website. Whereas we talk about, CLMs and managing some of those flows. What are the ways that you can continue to be efficient in those respects? So thank you for sharing that. if we can go to our next slide, I'll just share a little bit about some of the updated events we have going on. So coming up right around the corner, we have a Financial Fortitude Conference. So this is one example of things that our office is trying to continue to do to help small businesses. This one is geared a little bit more towards those newcomer entrepreneurs, right? So this particular conference is helping you understand the why of what you're doing. And then ultimately, individual sessions are going to go through the how of how to actually elevate your business and leverage new opportunities for success. Some of those are going to dip into financial planning, marketing, but ultimately it's a great way to build community, right? This is an in-person half-day conference, so you'll be able to meet other folks, peers across the community, and have some of those conversations about how you can grow and ultimately learn a little bit more from each other about ways that you can do some of those things to move forward. We offer a lot of opportunities, be those webinars, so short sort of 1 hour sessions, somewhat like we're doing now today. But also we do try to make sure that as we develop topics and hear more from individual clients or folks across the community, the ways that they want to learn more information, we're happy to develop some longer form opportunities for educational growth there. All of these are found on our website at sbc.waketech.edu. So as we move to our next slide, I'll talk just a little bit about some of the other opportunities we have. So one of the main things that we provide to residents and small businesses of Wake County is small business counseling. This is an opportunity to have individualized support from a small business counselor, and this is open to both new businesses and those that are already existing and who may be hoping to either, revitalize their business, possibly expand, look into new services, maybe, expanding their market and gathering new clients. But ultimately can be a great option for even just getting a new perspective on some of the strategies that may or may not be working. And as you're developing new goals, we're looking into moving into a different quarter, around now. What are some of those things presenting as opportunities for you to continue sort of jump starting and fine tuning for your business? When we work with clients, we're happy to be part of that journey, right? We know that being an entrepreneur is hard work. It's something that everyone is passionate about, right? There's something that's driving you personally to do what you're doing every day. When individual moments may be difficult, right? We're hoping that we can be part of that process to provide a little bit of support and have that understanding of some of the resources that are available, not only within our office, but across the community when it comes to learning more about individual resources and connections across the state, not only in terms of grants and opportunities and individual networking opportunities available, but the ways that we can provide community as well. So that's a little bit just about small business counseling. That's one of the programs that we provide, and it is paid by tax dollars, so it's free of charge to individual entrepreneurs of Wake County. Some of the other things that we do as a department is also providing training specifically for early stage businesses. So in this respect, we're talking a little bit more about those who are at that first step of beginning to think about how to start that business, or even those who are, within the first 3 to 5 years of a business plan. Um, so one of the programs that we provide that is specifically, specialized training for that pocket of the population is called Launch Wake County. This is a program that was built specifically to nurture, homegrown Main Street businesses, mom and pop shops, and folks across, a variety of sort of industry areas, right? So we have partnered with municipalities, across the county, to be an educational partner in these programs. And so from, Apex to Wendell, we have different programs that touch a lot of different communities. So the purpose of this really is to help provide a 10-week training program, but also to provide networking and mentoring experiences so that ultimately we can aim to really strengthen small business viability, and overall build community connection, right? We know that when we think back to that stat that I showed at the beginning, right? Not all businesses make it, unfortunately, to their first deal, and that number tends to dwindle down pretty quickly, towards even that fifth deal mark. So we want to be part of helping strengthen those numbers, right? Helping make sure that small businesses and aspiring entrepreneurs across our area, across our region, really have the support and the resources available to make sure that they can be more successful, and that long term their business plans and their great ideas are sustainable for themselves, for their families, and ultimately, they can reach their dreams and their goals. So the Launch Wake County program is a great partnership for that reason. Since about 2017, we've been able to work with over 700 folks, and I think throughout that process, right, it's a great way to continue meeting different folks and understanding more about what different people are doing, the ways that individually you can move forward. This training program really dives into, how to understand your business plan and make sure that it's strong so that you can really pitch it, and continue, seeking funding. But it digs into a lot of the big pieces that are really going to help you understand your business a lot more effectively. And ultimately, that's really going to help you, transition into those areas and be able to be the best advocate for yourself and for your business. If we can go to our next slide, one of the things that we talk about also, that's going to support early stage businesses, is some of the other programs that we've developed, right? We have a pitch coaching and competition, program, that's in its second year now, and we're hoping to continue to do that annually. And that's something that's, training folks to really be able to, do the elevator pitch well. I think in the last few years, right, we've seen the rise of Shark Tank and other kinds of shows and opportunities that have existed within the zeitgeist too. And I think this is one way that we're helping to continue that growth forward. This program specifically is one of the ways that we are able to provide a little bit of funding as well. But it is requiring different eligibility guidelines. So one way to be sure to have a better chance at some of those opportunities is to learn a little bit more about our office, and ways that you can continue to get involved. So moving into our next slide here, that really leads me into, the ways that we've been able to collaborate across not only our individual campus at Wake Tech, but ultimately the ways that we've been able to establish different kinds of partnerships across the community, right? So one of the great opportunities from the pitch competition, right, is the ways that we can continue to think about sustainability and viability, right? It's not enough that, you know, you have a great idea and that you're putting in the hard work and you're finding a little bit of luck along the way, right? Um, there's a lot of other pieces that have to fall into place. We know that, you know, we have a lot of communities that are under-resourced and that we want to make sure that we can do what we can to help build some of those partnerships to take that into account. So the pop-up shops at Martin Street is one of the partnerships that we've been able to work alongside the Downtown Raleigh Alliance and some other folks, including Lenovo and Ellen Restaurants. And this specifically is providing affordable retail space in the downtown community that is really geared towards specifically minority and women-owned businesses, excuse me. Those programs are really a way to ensure that businesses who apply and who are accepted have an extra support in terms of being able to meet with small business councils, but also that they are able to, you know, establish and have that first crack at really understanding how to have a storefront at, you know, an affordable rate, specifically through this program. And ultimately, you know, the hopes that that's going to create, you know, a good client business and a good opportunity for them to potentially pursue different kinds of leasing opportunities or move into having their own, you know, storefront one day. So we also have an opportunity with the Contractors Academy here at Wake Tech. That's a training program specifically for small, minority, and women-owned businesses in Wake County. And these are folks that are interested in pursuing different kinds of contracting opportunities. So we at Wake Tech work with a lot of historically underutilized businesses, and in, you know, being involved in this training program, it's going to help you understand what the eligibility criteria for becoming a historically underutilized business, and ultimately what all it takes to go into pursuing different kinds of contracts, and, you know, being involved in some of those opportunities. There's different kinds of businesses that are eligible, and ultimately that can continue to look at how to contract their individual services out. So these are things that sort of occur on a rotating basis, right? So here are the pop-up shops. The next deadline is coming up soon, and the Contractors Academy as well happens a couple of times a year. So we're really happy to have an opportunity to have a role in continuing some of those educational processes for folks, and ultimately continue to look for ways to continue growing that in terms of building relationships and helping understand, you know, what are the needs of local community members who are trying to turn their hobbies or passions into businesses, and what are the ways that we can continue to have a pulse on the ways that our community is changing, and the ways that that's going to inform what we can do to provide extra education and resources. So when we look at some of the other opportunities we have been able to develop a lot of different kinds of classes and workshops that build upon some of what we've done in the seminar or webinar format, one of which is coming soon, and you would be able to register now or in the coming weeks to get involved with. So an entrepreneurial mindset training class, which is really helping you understand, you know, some of the things that are going to play a big role, and the skills that ultimately will help inform your process of becoming an entrepreneur and the ways that you can continue to build and succeed. This particular one is taught from a hip hop mindset, using a lot of examples from successful musicians and the sort of ins and outs of what they've been able to do. But that material, if you're not musically inclined, is still definitely relatable and can translate to a lot of different industries. So regardless of what your individual business is, you would definitely be able to learn a lot of key skills and functions from that class. And we also have a variety of other courses, including, folks that are from skilled trades, ways that they can sort of take some of those opportunities and apply them to their goals, right? If they're wanting to build a new business around some of those opportunities, what are the ways that we can help them along there as well? So those are just a few of the things coming up, and we're happy to continue building those out. But as we move to our next slide here, one thing that is coming up very soon as well is Small Business Week, right? It's something that nationwide we celebrate in that beginning part of May. So one thing that we're trying to do is host a lunch and learn series virtually, so that it's a little bit more accessible for folks to attend. But every day, the first week of May, we'll be having some sessions about ways that folks can get involved with our office, and ultimately some of the key topics that we've learned a little bit more about, folks wanting to know more. So for that Monday, we're having lease negotiation for small business owners, which is particularly timely when we think about the ways that inflation and leasing markets have changed and shifted. We're also doing some opportunities about identifying and avoiding threats to your business, creating sales funnels, and then ultimately we're going to end off on how you can work with our office and the ways that we can provide additional resources. So as we're looking towards the end of our time, I just wanted to offer a chance to answer a few questions if there are any. We all here at our website, spc.waketech.edu, and you can go there to find any of the things that I've talked about in the last few minutes here, but also that will be a great place to register for any of the workshops that you might be interested in. We do add new ones regularly, so we have things happening very often throughout the month. So we're happy to engage with you there, whether that's in a virtual webinar or in an on-campus event or something like that. So I will have just the brief disclaimer that I am not offering, small business counseling advice right now. And as this is a bit of a public forum, but if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take a couple.
We had some questions early on.
Okay.
And one was, is there help with best practices to accept payments, create contracts or agreements?
Sure. So I think this is something that definitely would be a helpful topic for some of our small business counselors to chat about with individual folks. We have a variety of resources that are sort of like tips and tricks based on our website that I can link to us if I can pull up our website here. But yeah, we're definitely able to talk about things like that with individual folks who are interested in pursuing some of those things. Particularly when we think about, how that can shift depending upon your individual business needs. In order for if anyone was ever interested in how to sort of become a client or be part of that, sort of initiate that process with the small business center, I will also share that in the chat here. So there's a brief process, but ultimately when you begin an appointment, you're able to sort of give your assigned business counsel a rundown of the things that you want to learn a little bit more about, or ultimately what kinds of things that the strategies you're hoping to get a little bit of help with. And they can run you through more specifically some of those resources and strategies that would work best for your business needs. But I will also share a resource list here in the chat that's available on our website. As I do that, I'm happy to answer anything else that comes in.
Appreciate that. There was another question. I'm curious about starting a viable business plan. How to find good sources for products you need to create your own products. So, any help with business plans?
Sure. So that's actually one of the great things that we'll happy to work with. So as we I just popped that into the chat. That's a toolkit that lists some of the individual resources across all network. But one of the key things that people come to our office and ask questions about is how to really start that business plan. And we have a variety of options for that, right? We do quite frequently offer individual workshops and training sessions specifically around business planning. And those come up, pretty regularly, but you're also definitely able to talk one-on-one with a counselor about some of those options. We would say that it's best to, before setting up a meeting, if you're in some of those early stages, it's best to come into that client relationship with your counselor already having a good understanding of the kind of business that you want to build, and ultimately, some of those key first steps, having a general understanding of the kind of business you want to have, and ultimately what the mission and vision ultimately kind of what you're trying to do before starting your first appointment. But we definitely do provide support for business planning, and that's something that can be done through either, as I said, some of our introductory workshops, some of our scheduled appointments, and also if you all sort of an early stage business like that, the Launch Wake County program is a great opportunity to dive a little bit further into your business plan. Throughout the course of those training sessions, you're really going to, by the end, have a finished product of a business plan, and ultimately have that better understanding of all the things that you're going to need to list out in all of those sections.
Can you see that question in chat?
Yes. So a question about whether there is a help center at the RTP campus of Wake Tech. I am not incredibly familiar with with exactly what you're talking about, but they're all different partners that we work with. The main small business center is not at the RT campus, it is at the Western Wake campus. And so I'm not sure if that's what you're mentioning here. at the OTP Park. So they'll all a variety of folks that we work with. And I would be happy to follow up and see specifically, I guess, more what you're referencing here in terms of, if there's um a potential, for that. Well, I definitely thank you folks for joining us today. I'm happy to share, a little bit about what we do. And hope that, you're able to take some of this and run with it. If you're interested in pursuing some opportunities with us, we're more than happy to um, meet you where you are and do what we can to provide additional resources for your business, whether you already, have been working and are just trying to fine tune some things, um, every business at some point needs a jump start. It's pretty common. So we're happy to help folks who are existing and who are wanting to grow or check in about some of the goals that they have. But we're also, a great resource for new folks and people who are just trying to sort of figure out what their business can look like. So happy to have spent a little bit of time with you. Thank you for um offering up some of your time for us as well.